how our son went from failing most subjects to first class honors, at age 18. If we had any knowledge then of course, a switch in perspective would have saved us a lot of agony. But now that we are in this, we realize that we can actually go out there and share with a lot of parents what we went through and how, with a little shift in perspectives, actually life can be a lot better, that they can feel so much better, and they won't go through the kind of anxiety, the kind of agony that we both went through. Okay? So then you want to share something about how you felt at that time?
Okay, coming back to the topic today, actually it all started in 2003. I think the time Keith was in secondary 3. It was midterm. I can still remember it was in July when I got a call from the principal. I think the start of secondary 3 was quite difficult because, like Jeanie said, we had to meet up with the disciplinary master quite a couple of times. So when the call came to me, I didn't know what to expect. And the principal was quite blunt. He was quite curt. He just said to me, Mr. Pei, this year, we're going to go after your son. Somehow I was quite cool. I didn't really ask him any question because I know where he's coming from, because before that, I already heard from my son that a few of his friends, those in his group that were, having a bit of problem in school, one after another was being asked to leave. So anyway, I went back, I discussed it with Jeanie, and unanimously, we just decided we need to do something radical. I think under those circumstances, some parents would just think, maybe we should just go in and discuss with the school and see if we can work things out. But we felt that it calls for a shift in perspective, where we just need to do something radical. So I started looking around. I started calling, some of the schools, because what we decided on is actually to take him out of school, which was not an easy decision to make, because I think most parents would be very concerned, because at Sec 3 and next year is Sec 4 O level, and this is a big milestone, one of the major milestones in a child's education. So, but so anyway, I started calling some of the schools, and the answer I got was not very positive, because those are all mainstream schools, and most of them were thinking of of their own performance. So what they were concerned about is that they explained to me that they cannot take any student in at Sec 3 because next year is a major exam, and if for some reason he's not able to perform, it will pull down the school's ranking and so on and so forth. So anyway, I didn't give up. I continued to look around, and we chanced upon a very small private school that was just starting out. So we went to meet up with principal, and he was very gracious, and he said, okay, we can do something for your son, why don't you just bring him in? So which we did, and we wrote a letter to the school and just told the school that we're going to put our son somewhere else, and then we have alternative arrangement. So he went into that school, and I think that was his turning point, because the principal and the teachers there were just so supportive. It's a very small school, and the classes are all very small. So in a way, they were able to pay more attention to the students. And the principal, I can see that he really believed in Keith. He after talking to Keith, he told us that this kid has potential. So anyway, it's because of his, through his efforts, his undivided attention and the support he gave to Keith. It was supposed to be a 10 months course for GC O level. And the Sec 3 midterm, actually it's supposed to be next year, end of the year. It's supposed to be 18 months to O level, but it's only given 10 months. But anyway, because of the support from the school, he did very well, and he came up with 2 A's and 3 B's for the GC O level exam. So after that, we put him through a diploma course in SIC, that's Singapore Institute of Commerce, diploma in business. He was supposed to lead on to a higher diploma the next year, but At the end of the 1-year diploma, he did so well with quite a number of distinctions that we started to think maybe we should think of something else. So by chance, again, we attended an education exhibition that was going on in Suntec. So we went there, we did not know what to expect, and we came across a booth that was run by Kaplan. We went to talk to the people there, and they said, oh, they have a course coming up that lead to a degree in finance, and it's a 15-month course. But the requirement that he needs to be at least 17. And Keith was, at that time, less than 17. Anyway, we didn't give up. We told them that, why don't we give it his results, which are almost distinctions for his diploma. And they agreed. They said they'll send it to the university in Dublin for them to decide whether to take him in. And we got good news later on that said that the university was going to take him in. So that's how Keith started on this university program. He has to do 10 subjects in 15 months. So I think through sheer hard work and the support from the school, he got through. And not only that, he actually ended up with a first-class honors in finance, and at the age of 18. So I think why are we sharing this today? Because firstly, it was a shift in our perspective that led to this. Had we done the usual way of going to talk to the school and try to, make out an arrangement, it may not have come to this. We did something radical, and everything, turned out for Keith's good. And the second takeaway from here is that we just want to just point out that it's through the support of the school. When you believe in someone, when you support and believe in someone, it makes a whole world of difference. I think it's the belief in Keith that really make him, pull himself up and really want to achieve, and he did it. Do you have anything to add?
Yeah. Thank you, Danny. Yeah, that was the path that we went through, and that was what Keith went through for his education. And really, we see a real change in him. Once he switched, to an environment that was supportive, that really, give him all the support and the belief in him, because it is very, very important. You see, for a kid to change and to turn around is the love, that people shower around him, and especially if the school, the teachers are supportive, the principal are supportive, of him and believes in him. You see, that's where he changed. You see, how could he from failing all subjects, and in such a short time, just turn around, and it was not just a little shift, but it was quite a big radical change, if you might use that word. Because, from a failing almost all subject to distinctions, and first-class honors in such a short period of time. So to me, I really feel that, as parents, I mean, looking at it back, looking back, we feel that the parental support is very, very important, and never give up. Never give up on your kid, because, if you can just show love, a lot of love, regardless of what he has done. I mean, what is done cannot be undone, yes, but we can always talk to him, tell him talk to him in a very how to say, amiable way, where we communicate. We don't scream, we don't shout, we don't do all sorts of things, but with respect, we talk to each other. And in fact, I remembered many a times my husband and I will usually go to his room. We will always ask him for permission. Keith, we want to share something with you. Can we come into your room? And usually he says yes to us. And usually we will go into his room, and then we will spend time with him, talking to him, to sort things out. And I think really, we also have to thank him for accepting us, to talk to us and things like that. So it is a two-way thing. It is never one way, because if we parents just want to push our belief, on the kid is going to rebel, and I guess looking back, that was what we saw in the previous school, where where I think the something went wrong, like he didn't feel that he was accepted in that place. So that's why the change. He became rebellious, and then the subjects suffer, so of course, because of that, he went into like mixed with those not so good students, so that's why it become from bad to worse. So with that, really for parents out there, our hearts go out to you, because we have gone through it, and we know it's not easy and it's painful, but we have got through, gone out of it. And now looking back, really we are very, very thankful. And also we have to thank Keith, that he really puts in a lot of effort. There were days, that my husband can remember, that he will go through 2 days, 3 days when he's preparing to complete his exam, so that he can pass up. There were 2 nights that he didn't sleep, because he was just preparing for his paper to be handed up, and those were trying times, where we parents were so anxious, to keep waiting for his exam to be, his written paper to be completed, and then my husband had to rush, to go and submit to the school, because he did it at home. Assignment, yeah. So, yeah, maybe if Keith, you have anything to share? Want to share something?
Yeah. Okay, so for myself, what I feel happened is that back in the traditional school, they had a certain way of doing things. And so for me, I'm someone that since young, I like to question stuff. So if I'm told something, so whether it's a belief or an idea or a certain way to do things, I will generally go and question it. So some people saw it as me being rebellious, because everybody else is just listening. But then if I'm told something in class, and then either I don't understand, or I have another way to, let's say, solve a math problem. So I tend to ask the teacher, engage with the teacher, and maybe even debate a bit. So they saw that as me being like troublesome, or trying to do, they saw it as something wrong. Yeah, and then another one is like when I was much younger, primary school, secondary school, I was quite hyperactive. So I tend to move around a lot. So in hindsight, of course, I can see that you can't have a child running around the place, but I like to talk to my classmate, or do certain things during the class. So I'm quite hands-on. So what happened is that I kept getting into trouble, things like holding the table above my head, and then standing at the corner of the classroom, and then getting my stuff thrown out, that kind of usual thing that happened back in the days. Probably doesn't happen now, or we don't know. Yeah, so then there was one day that I remember I challenged the teacher, because I was told to hold the table thing again. So I said, so-and-so, my Mr. Teacher, why is it that I'm the only one being punished? Because if I were to be talking, so I must be talking to somebody, or a few people, because there were a few of us that generally, at the back, a bit more chatty and boisterous. So why am I the only one that's being punished? So he took that as me challenging him again, and then I think I was sent to the principal's office, or
Detention.
Yeah, detention or discipline master, something like that. So I spoke to the discipline master, and then he kind of, I felt that he got what I'm trying to say. That it can't be that I'm talking to the wall or I'm talking to myself, but yet somehow he diffused the situation, and I felt a bit better. And so it's just that if it makes sense and it's fair and it's logical, to me, I'm quite okay. And so the school that I went to, I felt they were really understanding, of me. So they bothered to spend time to sit down. So they don't have to agree with my thinking or perspectives or anything like that. But it's just that they bothered to sit down, actually talk to me and hear me out and engage with me like an adult. Instead, the new school, instead of talking down to me and, just basically, like little boy, what do you want to say? And then, you just hear. But you can tell they're not listening. After that, then they'll tell you, okay, I can see how you believe that, but that's wrong. So this is the right way. And so it's this kind of thing that kind of triggered me. So eventually, at the start, I think I was doing okay. Then there was one subject I remember I almost failed. It's quite borderline. In fact, it's under 50. I think I got 40 something. So that would have pulled my grades down. And then to get the first class, if I'm not wrong, I think it's 70%, the average grade. So it was, I kind of had a wake-up call. And then I realized that since I'm given this new opportunity and this new environment, so I decided to just really give it a shot. Yeah, so I did my best for all the assignments and everything. And I don't know what's the exact mark that I got, on the overall score, but it's probably just nice. Because there are some papers I got definitely 80 plus, 90 plus. So somehow it just pulled it up to just barely make it. Yeah, so this is something that I think now it seems like it's easy to talk about it in hindsight. We can say that, oh, this happened, but it turned out for our good. But when you're in the situation, not everybody can say that yes, this is going to turn out for my good. And truthfully, we can't say that as well, because we cannot tell the future, and we can't say that every situation is going to be the same. But then what we're saying is that these lessons that we can learn looking back in hindsight is that I felt the shift happened for us as a family, and especially thanks to two of them. Because at the time I was, a young punk, so I didn't really care. Like, to me, I'm going to make it. Like if I have to go and start a small business outside or do sales or whatever, I don't have an education, I'm quite okay. I didn't really want to have a degree or really want to have an education, so to speak. Yeah, but then it was both of them that had the foresight, and stood for that. That's why the result ended up as it was. And so what I'm trying to say is that during that time, the shift I felt was when at first it was negative. So something happens, and then they saw it as, oh no, something bad happened. And then there was, of course, panic and worry and things like that. And then maybe there was even blame, or like, oh, maybe the teacher is not fair, or this is not fair, that kind. So that was creating a lot of, obviously, worry and stress and anxiety, in the family, and conflict between us. Thankfully, they were understanding, but some parents, they may feel that, hey, it's my kid's fault, or something like that. So after that, when they started to shift to what can we do with this, like how can we use this situation for our good, in the sense. So they started to be more open and see that what if this is not something bad, and this is actually something that can benefit us. Like there's a hint that life is giving us, which is maybe that's not the best place that I would have performed in. So if I stayed in there, maybe I'll barely pass, or I may have failed, or something may have happened. So either way, what we're trying to say is that we can't tell the future, but what we can do is, when we try and look at the positive side, what are we being hinted at? What is life trying to show us? And sometimes that can give us a small hint what to do next. I think the energy is very important, because I can feel it when, let's say, my parents are coming to me and then they are asking me a question because they want something from me, or they have a certain intention, in mind. Like, for example, if one day they come to me and then ask me, Keith, do you think your hair is a little bit too spiky, or it's too high? Or do you think your earrings really look good? Or do you think the baggy pants is giving you a professional image? So when they ask me questions like that, straight away, I already know that they are trying to influence me, into their direction. That means they want to change my dressing or something. So of course, I'll tend to shut down. Yeah. So what I'll suggest is that if we genuinely bring a question, in a sense that you just want to understand how the other person feels, what the child is thinking, then it would actually create that opening for conversation. Yeah, so it's something that is genuine. Most of the time, I'll be able to feel it. Yeah. So that is one. And then the other thing is also to not take it personally. Because there's one more area where there are times that maybe they put it in the best way. They said it in the best tone, at the right mood and everything, but it's just that the other person is not in the right mood. So let's say for whatever reason, I'm thinking about life, or something happened at work, either that or just bad mood in general. So I may also shut down the question, or I may choose to not respond, or I may withdraw. So it's not always that the parent or the person asking a question always has to doubt himself and feel that, maybe I should have asked my child in a better way. Because that's another thing that we see happening. And so it can be both, and either is fine.
Because we know our kids, right? their temperaments and their reactions. So sometimes we can look at their, their countenance and how they are behaving on that day. Usually I will try to pick a day where they are in a better mood, good mood, and then I will ask, to talk to them. But if let's say they come back with very foul mood, or that their mood is no good, don't try to talk to them, because most of the time, like you say, they will snap at you. Yeah. So you have to also look at situation, look at how the kid is at that moment. Yeah. So I hope that can help a little. But of course, there are many other ways to do it also. How about yourself, Ken?
I think for me, I find that giving them space is something that is important. I think we just have to show the love, and if you do that, they will respond. Because I find that with my children, many times we continue to show them love no matter what happens. You find that sooner or later they will respond. So we just have to be patient and don't keep pushing them, because if you keep pushing them, it's just going to it just cause them to react even more.
There were times when they are difficult, when they snap back. Normally, when they snap back, I will usually retreat, because if you go head on, right, then that's when it will become even bigger and bigger, and then they will stay away from you further and further. So if I find that sometimes I try to approach, and there were times that he will, he just snap or whatever, and like you say, some kids, because they already have a lot of info, much more than us, so sometimes they will snap at you and say that, hey, I know more or whatever. So just retreat. Just say, oh, okay, maybe this is not a good time to talk to you. Never mind, when you're in better mood, then we talk. Yeah.
Sometimes recently she's been more like that. When younger, she's stronger. She will like fight with me. Even when very, very young, we'll be like pushing and kind of when it's very strong.
And I'll be the peacemaker.
That's a normal thing at home. But that's true. But of course, also there are times when that is something important, or it's a lesson that needs to be learned, for example. So of course, it's not saying that we always have to give in, or just retreat. So there are times that you need to take a stand as well. But if it's done in the right spirit, I think that it comes across differently. So if it's meant to attack, let's say the child, or if it's in a conversation, it's attacking each other's viewpoint, there's a certain feeling that you get, that who is wrong, who is right.